Hello friends, and welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, we'll make a chocolate challah. Now I like regular challah as much as anyone. And I do have a full video on a regular challah on my channel too, so if you want to see that, click the link in top right corner. But this time I wanted to experiment, make a chocolate version. And I'm pretty happy with the result. It's super chocolatey, and look at that texture, it's like a cake. It's so soft and fluffy and sweet. You can have it as it is. But if you spread some Nutella on this, you could really go into a chocolate coma. So keep watching if you want to see how it's made. And as always, you'll find a full detailed recipe down in the description box with metric and imperial units. Now let's see what equipment we need. We'll need a tray with some non-stick paper, a bowl, scales, dough scraper, temperature probe, and a brush. That's it. Now on to the ingredients. Some strong white bread flour, eggs, cocoa powder, chocolate chips, water, yeast, salt, sugar. We'll need another egg for brushing, some vegetable oil, and some sesame seeds. Now my kitchen is around 23 degrees Celsius, so my water to be around 6 degrees. I want it cold, and you want your eggs to be cold as well from the fridge. So let's begin. Get your bowl, add your eggs, and whisk them up before adding the rest of the ingredients. And now you can follow that with the water, yeast, salt, sugar, and the oil, and also the cocoa powder. This is such a simple dough to make. It's as basic as it gets. A complete beginner could do this easily. So once you've added the cocoa powder, give it all a good mix. You want to mix it well to disperse all the ingredients evenly, dissolving any large sugar and salt crystals and hydrating the yeast, and only then add the flour. Now grab your scraper and start mixing it to a dough. And if the scraper's not doing the job, continue on by hand. You want to mix it in the bowl until it's one cohesive piece to avoid making mess on your table. And now we can start kneading it. This dough is not too sticky, so I'm going to use my regular kneading method. What I like to do is press down and forwards with the heel of my right hand, then using the fingers of my left hand I fold the piece of dough under the heel of my right hand, then turn and repeat. You want to knead it for around 8 minutes in total, and if it starts sticking to the table into your hands a little bit, grab your scraper and scrape it all together and continue kneading. You see why I'm using cold eggs and cold water, because kneading by hand warms the dough up quite a lot. You don't want your dough to be too warm. So once it's become nice and smooth and not too sticky anymore, we start fermenting it. The first proof will only be 15 minutes, because there's one more ingredient we need to add to the dough. But before that, we want to let the gluten relax. So 15 minutes later, uncover your dough, spread it out on the table, and add the chocolate chips. The reason why we let it rest and only then add the chocolate chips is because we don't want to destroy the gluten structure. So with the kneading that we did and the resting, the dough had some time to develop. So all you want to do is spread the dough out, sprinkle the chocolate chips on top, and seal them in. And then knead it, just like we did before, for around 2 more minutes. Now the chocolate chips should be nicely incorporated into the dough. Get your bowl, place your dough ball in it, and take its temperature. 25 to 26 degrees Celsius is what we want. We can cover it up and leave it to proof for 1 hour. Of course, if your dough is warmer, it will take less time. If it's cooler, it will take longer. Adjust the proofing times accordingly. But regardless, after the first proof, we need to give it a fold. Forming a fold is very easy. Release the dough from the bowl, place it out on your table smooth side down, then flatten it out, fold the edge over the middle, going around in a circle until it reached the point where you started. All we're doing here is degassing the dough a little bit. We're creating extra layers in gluten structure. We're equalizing the temperature. So flip it smooth side up again, and it can go back into the bowl for the second proof, which will be 1 more hour. And again, if your dough is rising rapidly, you need to react. Cut the proofing time short. Or if it's not puffing up, leave it for longer. Now after the second proof, we can start dividing it. The loaf is a 3-strand braid. So we want to divide this dough into 3 equal pieces. I would suggest using your scales. If you don't use your scales, you get a weird looking loaf, trust me. And using your scraper, just cut it down to size, weigh it out. And after dividing, we can do the pre-shaping step, which is quite simple. All you want to do, take a piece of dough, flatten it out, put any stray bits of dough in the middle, because what we're trying to do is make it nice and uniform now. Fold the 2 sides over the middle, cross them over each other, and then roll it up. It's as if you were making a tiny little bread loaf. This is the kind of blunt cylinder shape that you want. And now just repeat with the other two. So the dough is rolled up and nice and tight now. What we need to do is cover it up and let it relax. Relaxing is important, otherwise it will be impossible to roll the dough out. 15 minutes should do the job. Now we can get rolling. Take your time with this step, it's not a race. Take one of your dough pieces and start rolling it gradually, applying even pressure starting from the middle, rolling out to the sides. If you feel that there's an air bubble inside the dough, which I did in mine, just slap it a couple times to pop it out. You want to roll it to a length which is about from your fingertips to your elbow, and taper the ends as well. And leave all your dirty jokes for later, alright? Now roll out the other two so we can start braiding. Make sure they're all the same length, and if you need to, correct them. Now connect the three pieces at the top, and then just do a 3-strand braid. Try to make it nice and tight. Again, don't rush it. Now this is the most basic challah. I have not learned yet to make a 4-strand or 5-strand braid, but you know, it doesn't change the taste of it. Now once you braided your loaf, what you want to do is tuck the ends underneath. That will really tidy it up, make it look nice and neat. And look at that, isn't that a beauty? And of course you can use this method for any kind of bread. Now we are ready for the final proof. Get your tray with some non-stick paper, lay your loaf on top of it, make sure it's nice and neat, now cover it up, and this will take a while to ferment, around 1 to 1.5 hours. You really want it to puff up. And during the final hour of fermentation, preheat your oven to 160 degrees Celsius with a fan on, which is 320 Fahrenheit. And look at that, it's doubled in size, it's huge. Now we can brush it with the egg. This is a little trick to give it a really nice glaze. You brush it once, let it dry out for 5 minutes before brushing it again. And this works for any bread. After the second coating of egg, we can sprinkle it with sesame seeds. And don't be stingy here, just go for it, sprinkle it all over, a nice thick layer. Now let's pop it in the oven. It will take around 45 to 50 minutes. Yes, it definitely takes a while, and if you're ever unsure of the doneness of your loaf, take its temperature. If it reads 94 degrees Celsius or up, which is 200 degrees Fahrenheit, then it's ready. That goes for any bread. Now one last thing we can do to make it nice and shiny, grab some oil and brush it all over whilst it's still hot. And that's how you make chocolate challah. I searched around, I haven't seen a recipe like this on the internet, but it definitely came out really good. But as always, if you have any questions or suggestions, drop them down in comments. And subscribe if you haven't already. My channel is full of awesome recipes. Not only that, I also teach bread baking principles. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.